America, land of the free, home of opportunity. But also, in its secluded corners, forgotten towns, and dark woods, it's the homeland of unexplained tales of terror, whispered down through generations. Some stories, like Amityville, become part of popular culture, while countless others remain confined to local memory, secrets waiting to be unearthed by the brave or the curious. Welcome to Spectral Files, America. Our mission is to open these forgotten files, listen to the testimonies, and pursue the paranormal truths hidden in the shadows of America. Today, our file takes us back in time, to the frontier regions of a young nation, the early 19th century. The place, the tranquil settlement of Adams, Tennessee, established on fertile land near the Red River. Here, John Bell Sr., a respected farmer, a deacon in the Baptist church, and a modest family man, would find himself and his family at the epicenter of one of the most disturbing, prolonged, and perhaps most malevolent paranormal cases in American history. This is not just a ghost story. It is the documented record of how an unseen force can systematically wear down a family, inflict physical and mental anguish, and ultimately bring death. This is the chilling file of the Bell Witch. It all began on one of those hot summer days in 1817, while John Bell was conducting a routine check of his cornfield. In the middle of the field, he encountered a strange animal, unlike any he had ever seen before. According to testimonies, the creature had the body resembling a rabbit, but its head was more like that of a dog, staring at him unnervingly. Reacting instinctively, Bell fired his rifle, missed the creature, and it vanished among the brush with incredible speed. Bell didn't know it then, but this was merely the first omen of the nightmare to come. That night, the peace of the Bell household was shattered forever. Disturbing sounds began emanating from outside the house, sounding like someone repeatedly striking the wooden walls. Strong, rhythmic, persistent knocks.
Father and I rushed outside. We circled the house several times with lanterns. The sounds sometimes came from the front door, sometimes the back wall, sometimes the roof, but we couldn't find the source. It was as if an invisible giant was walking around the house, banging on the walls. At first, we thought it was an animal, then maybe someone playing a prank. But the sounds were so loud and continued throughout the night that we began to realize this wasn't normal.
Initially, the family tried to keep these strange occurrences secret from their neighbors, perhaps fearing ridicule. However, the disturbances soon escalated beyond anything they could ignore. The knocking sounds were joined by eerie scraping noises from the walls, the chilling sound of heavy chains being dragged through the house, and sounds of choking and gagging in the bedrooms at night. Soon, physical contact began. Family members, especially the children, reported having their bed covers pulled off by an invisible force during the night and their pillows thrown into the air. It was as if the house had been invaded by an unseen, malicious tenant. As months passed, the invisible entity decided to communicate. First came incomprehensible whispers, then faint moans heard from the corners of the bedrooms. Eventually, these sounds evolved into a clear, loud, and often insolent female voice. This voice could emanate from anywhere in the house, sometimes the chimney, sometimes from within the walls. Although it gave different names at different times, it most often used the name Kate. It frequently claimed to be the spirit of Kate Batts, a former neighbor with whom John Bell had a land and slave purchase dispute years earlier, and who felt she had been cheated. However, the entity's identity remained ambiguous, sometimes claiming to be a witch, sometimes a demon, sometimes simply everyone's torment. This voice seemed to know the family's most private conversations, their fears, even their thoughts. It would mock guests, sing sacred hymns perfectly, and immediately follow with the foulest curses imaginable.
I don't want to say we got used to that voice. We never did. But we had to endure its presence. Sometimes it would speak as if standing right beside me while I was cooking in the kitchen, criticizing my recipes. It would reveal my children's secrets to their faces, embarrassing them. The worst was when it would appear even in our most sacred moments to mock us. When we tried to pray, it would laugh hysterically, twisting verses from the Bible. It took pleasure in tormenting us.
This unseen tormentor had specific objects of hatred: the family patriarch, John Bell Sr., and his youngest daughter, Betsy, known for her beauty. Betsy became the primary target of the entity's physical assaults. At night, she was brutally slapped by invisible hands, pinched on her arms and legs, and her long hair was pulled from the roots. When she woke in the mornings, she would find unexplained bruises, scratches, and even small red welts that looked like pinpricks on her body. Kate openly stated her jealousy of Betsy's beauty, declared she would never allow her to marry, and vowed to do everything in her power to make her miserable. These attacks took a heavy toll on Betsy's physical and mental health.
Nights became a nightmare for me. I was afraid to fall asleep because I didn't know what I'd face when I woke up. Sometimes it would slap me so hard my cheek would burn for hours. It would pull my hair so forcefully I'd scream. The worst part was those marks on my body. I couldn't show anyone. Nobody could fully believe me. Kate would whisper to me, "Nobody will want you. I'll make you ugly," she'd say. She was sworn to ruin my life.
John Bell Sr., meanwhile, was the target of the entity's deadliest hatred. Kate constantly referred to him with demeaning names like Old Jack Bell or Old Rascal, repeatedly threatening to drive him from his farm and family and to kill him slowly and painfully. These were not idle threats. John Bell's health began to decline rapidly and inexplicably. He suffered severe facial contortions, and his speech became slurred. Most terrifyingly, his tongue would often swell, and his throat would constrict, preventing him from swallowing or even breathing properly. During these horrifying episodes, Kate was often heard laughing hysterically and shouting, "That's how you'll choke to death, Old Jack." The family called doctors, prayed, but no earthly remedy could end the strange and relentless suffering John Bell endured.
Watching my father suffer, it was unbearable. He was a strong, healthy man, but that thing was consuming him from the inside out. The doctors could offer no diagnosis. We watched helplessly as father's face contorted, as his throat closed up, and that damn voice. Kate, mocking his pain, being unable to help him, unable to protect him, that was the heaviest burden to bear. We knew that entity was slowly killing him.
What was happening to the Bell family could no longer be hidden. The story spread from the Red River settlement throughout Tennessee and even into neighboring states. The curious, the skeptical, clergymen, and those interested in the paranormal began to flock to the farm. Many of these visitors reported their own testimonies: objects flying through the air, unexplained noises, even brief conversations directly with Kate. Among these witnesses, the most famous is undoubtedly General Andrew Jackson, who was then a military hero and later became President of the United States. Legend has it that Jackson, intending to investigate the Bell Witch story personally, arrived at the farm with a group of strong, brave men. Initially quite skeptical, Jackson and his men decided to spend the night. According to the legend, one of Jackson's men, boasting himself a witch tamer, challenged the entity and was violently thrown from his horse and severely battered by an unseen force. Jackson himself is said to have witnessed unexplained phenomena throughout the night and reportedly left the farm the next morning declaring, "I had rather fight the entire British Army than to spend another night with the Bell Witch." While the historical accuracy of this story is unproven, It is significant in demonstrating how widely the Bell Witch case had spread and how seriously it was taken. By December 1820, John Bell Sr. was nearing the end of his life struggle. He had been bedridden for weeks, drifting in and out of consciousness, barely able to communicate with his family. One morning, the family found him completely unresponsive, in a deep coma. Amidst the panic, a family member noticed a small, unfamiliar vial containing a dark, strange liquid in the medicine cupboard near his bedside. No one knew how the vial got there.
We didn't know what to do when we found Father like that. Mother was crying. Then my brother found that vial. Just as we were examining it, we heard Kate's vile voice. She let out such a triumphant shriek, it chilled us to the bone. "I gave him the last dose," she screamed. "Old Jack finally got what was coming to him from me." It was poison in the vial. She had poisoned him.
In horror, unsure what to do, someone decided to test a drop of the liquid from the vial on the family cat. According to the account, as soon as the cat licked the liquid, it went into violent convulsions and died instantly. There was no longer room for doubt. But there was nothing left to do. John Bell Sr. passed away on December 20th, 1820. Even during his funeral, Kate was allegedly heard singing mockingly among the grieving crowd and shouting curses upon John Bell's coffin. After John Bell's death, the paranormal activity at the farm significantly decreased. It was as if the entity had achieved its primary goal. However, Kate did not leave entirely. She lingered for a while longer, focusing her efforts on breaking the engagement between Betsy Bell and a local farmer named Joshua Gardner. She constantly harassed the engaged couple, hurled insults at Gardner, and eventually forced Betsy to break off the engagement. Having succeeded in this, she reportedly bid farewell, stating she would return in 7 years and then again in 107 years. Indeed, subsequent generations of the Bell family claimed that the entity did occasionally return, particularly around 7 years after John Bell's death and in later periods, causing brief disturbances. But the relentless terror of the early years never returned to the same intensity. Years passed, witnesses grew old and died, but the story of the Bell Witch lived on. So what truly happened at that farm in rural Tennessee? Is there a rational explanation for these horrifying events? 2 centuries later, a definitive answer remains elusive. However, the main theories proposed are: the paranormal explanation. The most common belief is that the Bell family was genuinely victimized by a malevolent, supernatural entity. The identity of this entity remains uncertain. Was it the vengeful spirit of Kate Batts? A disturbed Native American spirit tied to the land? Or a darker, demonic force? The events exhibit many characteristics of classic poltergeist cases: movement of objects, unexplained noises, physical assaults, and a focus on specific individuals. The hoax theory. Some skeptics suggest that all or part of the events were an elaborate hoax orchestrated by someone within the family. The prime suspect in this theory is often the son, Richard Williams Bell, who allegedly chronicled the events. What could have been his motive? To bring fame to the family? Perhaps a hidden grudge against his father or Betsy? Could he have created these phenomena using ventriloquism and hidden tricks? However, this theory struggles to explain the existence of numerous external witnesses, the severity of the physical attacks, and the alleged poisoning that led to John Bell's death. Psychological and medical explanations. Modern medicine and psychology might offer alternative explanations for some events. John Bell Sr.'s neurological symptoms could have been the result of an undiagnosed medical condition. What the rest of the family experienced could have been mass hysteria, sleep paralysis, or auditory/visual hallucinations triggered by intense stress, fear, and superstitious beliefs. Could Betsy's physical symptoms be explained by self-harm or rare psychological syndromes? While these theories might explain some symptoms, they don't fully negate the presence of an entity that spoke, possessed knowledge, and interacted physically. The Bell Witch case stands at the intersection of all these theories, with each explanation leaving some aspects unaccounted for. Perhaps the truth lies in a combination of these theories. But one thing is certain. The terror the Bell family believed they endured changed their lives forever and became indelibly etched into one of the darkest pages of American folklore. Today, the land where the old Bell Farm stood in Adams, Tennessee, and particularly the nearby Bell Witch Cave, remain popular destinations for paranormal enthusiasts. Visitors still claim to hear strange noises, witness unexplained phenomena, and feel an unnerving presence in the cave and surrounding area. The story of the Bell Witch has inspired countless books, articles, documentaries, and even Hollywood films. The suffering of John Bell and his family transformed into legend, but for them, it was a terrifying reality. So what do you think? Were the events at the Bell Farm the work of a supernatural entity? Or a tragedy created by the human mind or hand? Perhaps some files are never truly closed, and some secrets continue to live on deep in the earth, or carried on whispers in the wind. Thank you for watching this episode of Spectral Files, America. If you want to continue investigating the mysteries in America's dark corners with us, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell. Share your thoughts on the Bell Witch, any other lesser-known American paranormal cases you know, or what impacted you most in this episode in the comments below. We'll meet again in the next file, hunting down another unsettling secret. Until then, stay out of the shadows. Yasad.